There are moments in life when the soul already knows the answer, but the heart waits for permission to believe it. There are days when the wind shifts just slightly and you feel it in your bones, like something is about to happen. April 26th is not just another date on the calendar. It's not just another sunrise. It is confirmation, not of something new, but of something ancient, something you've already carried within you, something sacred and unshaken that you've long kept tucked behind your fears and folded beneath your prayers. You've known it for a while now, haven't you, that you were meant for more, that the road you've walked, paved in pain and perseverance, was leading somewhere holy, and yet doubt has knocked on your door like an uninvited guest, louder than your faith on some days, bolder than your truth. But here you are, breathing, surviving, still moving forward, and this very act of endurance is your confirmation. The voice of God does not always thunder. Sometimes it whispers, and sometimes it sends a message through moments just like this. You didn't come through all that fire to question your glow now. You didn't survive the storm to wonder if the sky is really clearing. April 26th is your mirror. It's the gentle reminder that you weren't crazy for believing. You weren't naive to hope. You were wise enough to feel the pull of destiny before it had a name. Wise enough to plant seeds without knowing if they'd bloom this season or the next. You didn't need a date, but you're getting one anyway, because sometimes confirmation is the kindness of timing. You've carried the weight of decisions no one else saw. You've wrestled with the silence of heaven, wondering if maybe your prayers got lost in the shuffle. But God was never silent, only strategic. He was waiting until your spirit was strong enough to hear the truth without fear, until your foundation could carry the weight of His promise. The delay was never denial, it was divine preparation. You needed the nights you cried yourself to sleep. You needed the friends who walked away. You needed the rejections, the misunderstandings, the moments where all you had left was your faith, and a whispered still, I believe. This is not a new beginning, it is a revelation of what's always been true. You are chosen, not just for the stage, but for the journey, not just for the spotlight, but for the wilderness that came before it. You are never forgotten. Heaven has kept your name on its lips. You didn't imagine your calling, you didn't fabricate your purpose, and deep down you already know April 26 is not coming to introduce you to your future. It's coming to affirm what your soul has always known, but your circumstances tried to make you doubt. And oh, how the enemy worked hard to make you forget. How he tried to wear you down, not with fire, but with repetition, with discouragement that came in waves, with voices that didn't see your worth, with moments that made you question your value. But here's what he didn't count on. You have roots, not just wings. You weren't just made to fly, you were made to withstand. And every no that life handed you only drove your yes deeper into the soil. You're not blooming by accident. You're blooming because you refuse to wither. Let the winds blow, let the voices rage. Let doubt come knocking once more, because now you know how to answer. Now you know what you carry, and now you understand that faith isn't fragile, it's forged. Forged in the fire of disappointment, refined in the waiting, sharpened in the silence. You have been equipped not just for the mountaintop, but for the climb that gets you there. And that climb, that long, exhausting, unseen climb, is proof that what's coming is real, that what's coming is God ordained, and nothing and no one can stop it. You may not have had the applause, you may not have had the crowd, but you had the courage to keep going when no one was watching. And that counts for more in heaven than any human validation. You showed up for your own story. You didn't run. You didn't fold, even when it hurt, even when you had every reason to quit. And now the confirmation is coming, not just for others to see, but for your own soul to stand tall and remember, you were right to believe. You were right to keep walking. You were right to trust your vision. April 26 is not magic, it's manifestation. It's the moment where the invisible becomes visible, where what was whispered in the dark becomes undeniable in the light, where the seed sown in private burst into bloom for all to see. It's not the start of your story, it's the revelation of it, the unveiling, the I told you so moment between you and your spirit, between you and God. It is heaven saying, I was with you all along. You were never alone in the waiting room. You were never forgotten in the hallway. You were being trained, molded, refined like gold. And gold never complains in the fire. It just shines brighter when it comes out. That shine, that's yours now. That light, it's not borrowed, it's born. Born from every moment you wanted to give up, but chose to breathe instead. Born from the battles that nearly broke you, but couldn't bury you. born from the promises you dared to hold on to when everyone else told you to let go. There is something unshakable inside you, a resilience not taught but inherited from heaven. You didn't get this strength from easy seasons, you got it from crawling through heartbreak, from laughing in the middle of tears, from clapping for others when you were still waiting for your turn. That kind of character can't be manufactured, it must be lived. And now, the living proof is here, not in the form of a miracle you begged for, but in the form of the one you've become. You see, confirmation isn't just about the door opening. It's about you realizing that you've already outgrown the room you were stuck in. It's about the moment you stop apologizing for dreaming big, the moment you start walking like you know who sent you, the moment your posture changes not because something happened outside of you, but because something awakened inside you. This is your moment of awakening. This is your reminder. This is your resurrection. They won't understand how you kept going. They won't understand why you still smiled when life gave you every reason to cry. But that's okay. You weren't called to be understood. You were called to be chosen, to be set apart, to be the kind of light that doesn't ask for permission to shine, the kind of believer who doesn't need everyone's approval, only God's confirmation. And that confirmation is here. This is not about hype. This is about healing. It's not about status. It's about standing. Standing in who you are. Standing in what you know. Standing in the truth that has followed you like a shadow, even when you tried to run from it. April 26 is not shouting your name. It's whispering it. Softly, tenderly, powerfully. It's saying, rise. It's time. The promise still stands. There is a breaking that comes before the blessing. A silence that comes before the sound. And you've lived through both. So when this door opens, when the right eyes see, when the right hearts hear, when the right opportunity calls, don't be surprised. Be ready. You won't need to explain. You won't need to prove. You'll just need to walk through, fully you, fully seen, fully prepared. Everything you went through was not wasted. Every tear was recorded, every late night, every broken heart, every moment of fear. It was building something, not just your story, but your spine. Not just your purpose, but your power. And now the time has come to step into it without shrinking, without second-guessing, without seeking external validation. You are the sign. You are the proof. You are the testimony you've been waiting for. Let this be the day you stop asking for signs and start being one. Let this be the hour where you stop questioning and start declaring. Let this be the season where you walk like you already know the outcome. Because you do. You were promised. You were anointed. You were chosen. And no man, no woman, no circumstance can take that from you. The world is waiting not for you to become someone else, but for you to become fully yourself, to embody the grace, the wisdom, the fire you've gathered along the way. And now is your time, not because the world says so, but because God does. Not because it looks easy, but because you've been prepared. Every trial carved out the path, every lesson paved the way, and every time you wanted to quit, but didn't, you added another brick to the road that now leads to this very moment. So breathe deep, hold your head high, walk forward not with arrogance but with assurance. Assurance that what you know inside, what you've carried for so long, what has kept you up at night and lifted you at dawn, was never a dream. It was a promise. And the time has come to see it fulfilled. You already know. Now it's time to see. Now it's time to live it. And when April 26 comes, don't wait for a sign in the sky, just look in the mirror. That's where the confirmation has always been. You don't need another voice to validate what's already stirring in your soul. You don't need another prophecy when the truth has already been carved into the quiet places of your being. You've lived it. You've survived it. You've endured every aching stretch of time that made it feel like you were being overlooked, forgotten, passed by. But there's something that was happening underneath the surface of all of that. Something sacred. You were being set apart, not set aside. The pain didn't come to punish you, it came to prepare you, and oh, how deeply it prepared you. The loneliness shaped your perspective. The heartbreak gave you eyes that see what others miss. The rejection sharpened your discernment. What was taken from you never left you empty. It left you more aware, more present, more connected to the truth of who you are. You were becoming the version of yourself that could handle what's next. And now that next is knocking. April 26 is not a finish line, it's an unveiling. The curtain is being pulled back not just on your blessings, but on your identity. All this time you thought you were chasing something, success, peace, purpose. But what you were really chasing was alignment. You were reaching for a life that matched the blueprint God wrote over you before you ever took your first breath. That alignment is here now. That click, that internal knowing, that holy confirmation, it's here. You've gone long enough hiding behind modesty and false humility, pretending like you're just lucky to be here. No more. You are not lucky. You are appointed. You are not random. You are assigned. You are not just good. You are anointed. And this anointing didn't arrive when the crowd did. It was with you in the silence. It was with you when the lights were out, when the door was closed, when the room was empty. That's where true strength was born, in the shadows. You don't have to explain how you know what you know. You don't have to justify your peace. That stillness you feel, that's confirmation. The deep breath you're finally able to take after seasons of tension and tightrope living, that's evidence. Peace isn't the absence of storms, it's the presence of clarity in the middle of them. And you found it. You found it not because everything changed, but because you did. Let them talk. Let them wonder how you knew before it was popular, how you kept showing up with grace when you had every reason to shut down. What they don't understand is that you weren't performing, you were trusting. Trusting in a timing beyond your control, trusting in a process bigger than your plans, trusting in a voice that kept calling your name even when the noise tried to drown it out. You stayed the course. You stayed faithful when no one clapped. You stayed planted when nothing seemed to grow, and now the harvest has begun. You've learned not to chase the moment, but to prepare for it, and preparation is worship. Every time you rehearsed when no one asked you to, every time you studied when no one was watching, every time you got back up without applause, you were worshiping. You were offering your faith, your belief, your quiet confidence as a living sacrifice. And heaven saw it all. Every tear wiped, every deep breath taken before stepping into yet another uncertain day, every yes spoken through trembling lips. You didn't wait to feel ready. You moved forward anyway. There were days you didn't feel strong, but you were. There were days you didn't feel chosen, but you were. And there were days you didn't feel seen. But God saw you. He saw you when you showed up broken but willing. When you said, I don't know how, but I'll go anyway. He saw your obedience, your persistence, your refusal to let go of the promise, even when it felt far. And now the promise is looking back at you. Now the confirmation is arriving, not as a reward, but as a reminder. A reminder that you are enough, as you are. That what's for you doesn't require you to pretend, shrink, or perform. It only requires you to believe and to be, because when you stand in your truth, the right doors open, the right people appear, the right atmosphere begins to breathe with possibility. Your energy shifts, your vision sharpens, and suddenly what once felt out of reach now feels like destiny catching up to you. Don't look back. The people who didn't see you weren't meant to. The opportunities that passed you by were never yours to begin with. You haven't missed your moment. You've just been walking toward it all along. And now that it's here, it doesn't need to be loud or flashy. It just needs to be true, and it is. Because you are. Because the version of you that exists today is more whole, more wise, more grounded than ever before. You don't need fireworks to know the fire inside you is real. You don't need the world to validate what heaven has already confirmed. You don't need external proof when internal peace is louder. Let your stillness be your strength. Let your joy be your resistance. Let your gentleness be your power. That's how you'll know the season has changed. Not when everything around you changes, but when you no longer need anything to. Look at how you carry yourself now. Look at how you speak, not to prove, but to declare. Look at how you walk, not in fear, but in freedom. That's what confirmation looks like, not a flash of lightning, but a steady flame that doesn't burn out. A voice within you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And suddenly everything becomes a little clearer. The past makes more sense. The delays feel divine. The pain feels purposeful, and the waiting feels like part of the promise, not a punishment. You've always had the knowing. It's been inside you since the beginning, buried beneath your doubt, buried beneath other people's opinions, buried beneath fear, shame, and insecurity. But it never left you. It only waited for you to remember. And now that you've remembered, you can't forget again. You've crossed a line in the spirit. There is no going back, no shrinking, no playing small. Your light has broken through the cracks, and now the whole room can feel it. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them ask how you made it. And when they do, don't just tell them your story. Live it. Let your peace speak louder than your testimony. Let your fruit speak louder than your faith. Because people can argue your journey, but they can't argue your growth. They can't debate the transformation they see in your eyes. They can't deny the radiance in your presence. That's the power of true confirmation. It's visible even when it's unspoken. You no longer owe anyone an explanation. You owe yourself your full presence. You owe yourself the joy of living in alignment. You owe yourself the grace to keep going without needing to prove that you deserve it. Because you do. You deserve the love that's coming, the opportunities, the breakthroughs, the quiet mornings full of peace, the nights of restful sleep, the freedom to exhale without guilt. You deserve it because you stayed, because you fought, because you believed when nothing around you gave you a reason to. April 26 is not the beginning of your worth. It's just a moment in time when the heavens echo back what you've known all along. It's the affirmation of your truth, spoken not just with words but with movement. Doors opening, hearts softening, the path clearing. Not all at once, but undeniably, irreversibly. Because confirmation isn't about speed, it's about certainty. And now you are certain. Certain that you are called, certain that you are capable, certain that the hand that's been guiding you hasn't let go. And with that certainty comes boldness. A holy, humble boldness that doesn't need to shout, that doesn't need to push, that simply walks into the room and lets the presence of divine purpose do the talking. You no longer need to convince the world of your value. You just need to carry it with quiet confidence, with unshakable peace, with the knowing that no matter what comes next, you are ready, not because you have all the answers, but because you finally trust the one who does. So when April 26 comes, stand tall, smile wide, breathe deep, walk into it, not as someone hoping for a sign, but as someone who already knows, and let every step you take be a declaration, not just to the world, but to yourself. This is the life you were promised. This is the purpose you were born to fulfill. This is the moment where everything you've carried inside you finds its place in the world. And you, beautiful, bold, beloved you are ready, ready to rise, ready to step into the fullness of your calling, ready to live not just with faith, but with confirmation. You already know. Now, walk like it. You've spent so much of your life in quiet wrestling with what you felt deep inside and what your reality showed, wrestling with the truth you couldn't explain to others, the vision, the sense of timing, the conviction that kept whispering even when everything looked like delay. You didn't choose the struggle, but you embraced it. You didn't ask for the detours, but you kept moving. And through it all, something unshakable was forming inside you. A strength not born of ease, but of endurance. A fire not lit by applause, but by intimacy with the divine. You became rooted in something far deeper than success. You became rooted in purpose. When you wake up on April 26, it won't feel like magic. It will feel like recognition. Something in you will settle. Not because life is suddenly perfect, but because your spirit knows. It knows the weight you've carried. It knows the tears you never let fall in public. It knows the decisions you made that no one understood. It knows how many times you've said no to the temporary so you could say yes to the eternal. Your spirit will rise not because the world finally sees you, but because you finally see yourself. For years you carried a vision no one else could validate, a dream that made no sense on paper. You felt crazy for holding on, foolish for believing, isolated by a knowing too sacred to explain. But still you stayed true, not to the plan, but to the presence. You learned that presence is more powerful than pressure, that staying close to the divine voice mattered more than chasing external milestones, that faith isn't about making sense, it's about staying steady. You stayed steady, and now the winds are shifting in your favor. You didn't just survive the waiting, you were transformed in it. You became more than what you were praying for. You became the kind of person who could steward the promise. And that, beloved, is confirmation. Confirmation is not about getting what you asked for. It's about becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs to beg for what's already been given. You don't have to knock on doors anymore. Doors open when you arrive, not because of who's on the other side, but because of who's inside you. Every closed door was sacred. Every silence was divine strategy. Every lonely night was heaven whispering, I'm doing something in you, and now you are seeing why. You're seeing that what you carried through the fire has become gold. You're seeing that the wisdom you gained in the wilderness is more valuable than any spotlight. You're seeing that what once looked like rejection was actually redirection. You're seeing that the pain was not a detour, it was the process. You thought you were waiting for a sign, but you were the sign. You thought you needed clarity, but you were being made into clarity. You were being shaped into the very answer to the prayers you whispered in the dark. And now the world will see it, not because you'll shout, but because you'll shine. And the kind of shine you carry isn't for show, it's for service. It draws those who are lost, it comforts those who are weary. It awakens those who are sleeping. That is your calling, that is your confirmation. You are not who you were. You no longer walk in confusion, you walk in wisdom. You no longer carry desperation, you carry direction. You no longer need to be seen, you are secure in being sent. And from this place of holy confidence, everything changes. You don't force what's not for you. You don't chase what's not aligned. You don't settle for what doesn't echo the voice that called you, because now you know. You know how valuable your obedience is. You know how sacred your time is. You know how worthy your vision is. The shift you're stepping into is not loud, it's deep. It's not flashy, it's final. It doesn't need validation. It already carries divine verification. And in this shift, you'll find new doors, yes, but more than that, you'll find new levels of peace. Peace that doesn't need permission. Peace that's not based on productivity. Peace that flows from knowing that what's coming next is not a miracle, it's a manifestation. A manifestation of years of faithfulness. A manifestation of countless nights where you chose truth over convenience. A manifestation of seeds sown in soil no one could see. You didn't skip the process. And because you didn't skip it, you can now sustain the promise. You can handle the pressure. You can walk with honor. You can rise without arrogance. You can lead without losing yourself. You can create without needing to control. You can be blessed and still be humble, because you were forged in the fire, and what is forged in fire cannot be shaken by storms. They will look at you and wonder, how did it happen overnight? But it wasn't overnight. It was over years of silent struggle, years of invisible preparation, years of being faithful in obscurity. They didn't see the midnight tears. They didn't hear the prayers you prayed through gritted teeth. They didn't watch you show up when your heart was breaking, but heaven did, and now all of that is being returned, not just in blessings, but in beauty, not just in things, but in truth. You're not just stepping into destiny, you're stepping into identity. April 26 is not just a date, it's a divine alignment, a moment where time and eternity shake hands, where your outer world begins to reflect what your inner world has known all along. You won't have to force anything. You won't have to convince anyone. You will simply be, and your being will be enough. It always was. There's a rhythm to this new season, a gentleness, a flow. You won't feel the old urgency, the old anxiety, the old fear. You'll feel grace. You'll feel ease, not because it's all easy, but because you are in sync with your source. And when you're in sync with your source, even the hard things carry light. Even the challenges come with clarity. Even the battles come with backup. Because you are no longer fighting for victory, you're moving from it. You'll find yourself walking differently, speaking differently, choosing differently, not out of pride, but out of awareness, out of gratitude, out of love. You'll find yourself drawn to people who speak to your purpose, not your pain. You'll recognize the difference between distractions and destiny. You'll say no faster, you'll say yes slower, you'll listen more and strive less. Because you no longer need to prove yourself, you just need to honor yourself. And honoring yourself means honoring what God has placed inside of you, honoring the vision, honoring the voice, honoring the intuition that guided you through the darkest valleys. You'll no longer silence it for the sake of fitting in. You'll no longer bury it to make others comfortable, because the world doesn't need your version of what they already know. It needs your truth, the raw, radiant, undeniable truth that you carry. There is nothing ordinary about you, nothing random. You are sculpted with care, sent with intention, positioned with precision. Everything about your journey makes sense now, not because it was painless, but because it was purposeful. And now you can smile, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is aligned. And alignment is what you've been praying for, longing for, waiting for. Your breakthrough didn't come through force, it came through flow. It came when you stopped trying to be what you thought others needed and started being who you were created to be. It came when you stopped begging for scraps and started honoring your seat at the table. It came when you stopped seeking approval and started walking in authority. And this is the beauty of confirmation. It doesn't shout, it settles. It doesn't rush, it reassures. It doesn't demand attention, it carries presence. You won't need to say much. Your energy will speak, your peace will lead, your fruit will testify. So take this moment, breathe it in, let it anchor you. You're not here by mistake, you're not here by coincidence. You're here because heaven orchestrated it, because you endured and you're still standing, because you believed and now you're beholding, because you obeyed and now you're overflowing. And from this day forward, everything you do will carry the echo of this truth. You are not behind. You are right on time. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. You are ready, ready for love that sees you, ready for work that fulfills you, ready for peace that holds you, ready for joy that sustains you, ready for favor that follows you, ready for purpose that pours through you. You are ready because you've been prepared. You are ready because you've been refined. You are ready because you already know. And now the world will know too. You've traveled a long road paved with silence, built with bricks of waiting and tears that no one else could see. And yet you never turned away. Even when it felt like you were walking through fog with no end in sight, you kept going. Even when your own mind tried to tell you it wasn't worth it, you clung to something invisible, something unshakable. It wasn't logic that led you. It wasn't applause or external validation. It was a quiet knowing, the sacred whisper, a holy fire that refused to burn out. That's what kept you, and now that fire has become your light. You see, there's a power in moving forward when you have no map, when the only thing you can rely on is the sense that you are being called, even if you don't yet know where to. That kind of faith rewires the soul. It humbles you. It makes you a student of the unseen. And it teaches you that sometimes the absence of answers is the greatest invitation of all, because it draws you closer to the voice that lives beyond the noise. And when you listen, when you lean in, you realize something that changes everything. What you were waiting for is not outside you, it's within. So now, as April 26 approaches, there is no panic in your spirit. There is no desperate scrambling to get it right, no frantic need to control the outcome. There is only a steady knowing, a quiet exhale, because your soul has been whispering for a long time, and now your reality is finally catching up. The confirmation isn't just in what's coming, it's in who you've become while you waited. You are not the same person who started this journey. You are stronger, wiser, deeper, more anchored. You have roots now. Roots that were watered by pain but nurtured by purpose, and those roots are about to bear fruit. The things that once made you feel behind are now your foundation. The delay that made you question your worth was the very thing shaping your capacity. The long nights where you felt overlooked were the sacred moments heaven used to refine your discernment. You didn't just survive the silence, you grew in it. And that growth was not in vain. Every inch of your becoming was necessary. Every tear, every test, every time you chose to keep walking when giving up would have been easier. It all mattered, and now it's all working together to reveal what your spirit has known all along. You've spent years planting seeds in soil that looked barren. You prayed when you didn't feel like it. You showed up when it didn't make sense. You gave when no one was watching. You held on when there was nothing left to hold. And because of that, you're not just receiving a breakthrough, you're becoming one. A living, breathing testimony of what happens when someone refuses to let go of what's real. You are proof that consistency and faith unlocks doors that talent, strategy, or influence never could. Now, when people ask you how it happened, you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. They won't understand the depth of your story, and that's okay. They don't have to. You're not here to explain, you're here to embody. To walk into rooms not with arrogance, but with authority. The kind of authority that comes from being sent, not just selected. That comes from being prepared in private long before the public ever took notice. That comes from choosing surrender over striving again and again. And in this new season, you won't have to fight for space. You'll walk into places where the atmosphere has already been prepared for your arrival, where the opportunities don't just align with your gifts, they honor your growth, where the people don't just admire your light, they recognize your depth, where you no longer have to shrink, hide, or explain, you will simply be. And in being, you will draw everything meant for you closer without effort. There's a shift coming, and you can feel it, not in the way the world describes, a quick fix, a sudden windfall, but in the way heaven moves. quiet, steady, undeniable. It's a shift that doesn't shout but settles, a shift that doesn't demand attention but commands respect, a shift that brings rest to the weary parts of you and strength to the places that once felt broken. You won't have to chase it. You'll wake up one day and realize you've stepped into it. That's the beauty of divine timing. It doesn't need your performance. It responds to your preparation. It doesn't require your striving. It honors your surrender. And it always arrives exactly when your soul is ready to carry what your heart has longed for. You are ready now, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally see that even the imperfections were part of the plan. The wounds made you wise. The waiting made you aware. The wilderness taught you how to walk without fear. You won't return to the old ways, not because they were evil, but because they were too small. The version of you who once begged for clarity now walks in confidence. The one who questioned her worth now carries herself with quiet assurance. The one who feared being forgotten now knows she is favored. And that favor can't be faked. It can't be manufactured. It's not tied to popularity or power. It flows from a life rooted in obedience, from a heart aligned with truth, from a soul that chose purpose over performance every time. And when you move from that place, everything begins to align. The right people show up, not because you chased them, but because they were assigned. The doors open, not because you knocked louder, but because you walked in purpose. The blessings flow, not as bribes or rewards, but as a natural outcome of who you are becoming. You stop striving, you stop stressing, you stop looking outside of yourself for answers that were always within. You become still, and in your stillness you see. You see that your life is not a series of random moments, but a masterpiece in motion, that every detour had direction, that every delay held a divine detail, that the closed doors protected what your eyes couldn't see yet, and that the pain you endured didn't break you, it built you. You're not fragile anymore. You're fortified. You're not scared of being misunderstood. You've made peace with being set apart. Because being set apart isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the sacred space where heaven does its finest work, where identities are revealed, where courage is cultivated, where vision is sharpened, and now that preparation is bearing fruit. You can feel it in your bones. You're no longer trying to force things into existence. You're letting them come, and they are coming, not because you chased them, but because you chose alignment. So don't be surprised when things begin to move quickly. Don't question the ease after so much effort. You're not being lucky. You're being recognized, not by people, but by purpose. Purpose is recognizing its partner, and together you are creating a new rhythm, one not based on hustle, but on harmony, one not driven by fear, but led by faith. And in that rhythm you will rise. You'll rise not by stepping over others, but by lifting them. You'll rise not by shouting for attention, but by carrying presence. You'll rise not with ego, but with elegance, because this rising isn't just about you. It's about what flows through you. It's about the lives you'll touch, the hearts you'll heal, the souls you'll remind of their worth. It's about impact, not image, substance, not show, legacy, not likes. The world is watching, yes, but more importantly, heaven is cheering. Every step you take in integrity echoes in eternity. Every moment you choose alignment over approval makes the heavens rejoice. You're not just making moves, you're making history, and not the kind that fades, but the kind that plants seeds for generations to come. So when April 26 arrives, don't brace yourself, embrace yourself. Embrace the version of you who stayed when it was hard, who believed when it hurt, who showed up without applause, who honored the quiet yes, who let go of what was good to make space for what was divine. That version of you is not just worth celebrating, she is worth following. Let this be your exhale. Let it be your rest. Let it be the day where you stop striving and start receiving. Let it be the day you stop asking for signs and start trusting your sight, because now you see. And what you see cannot be unseen. What you know cannot be unknown. What you carry cannot be denied. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are walking in power. You are no longer second-guessing. You are standing in certainty. You are no longer chasing peace. You are becoming it. And that is the confirmation you've been waiting for. As you stand on the threshold of this new chapter, know that the journey you've walked with all its ups and downs was never in vain. Every step, every pause, every tear shed, and every smile shared has brought you to this moment of truth. What you once hoped for, what you once dreamed of, is now within reach, and it's not because you chased it, but because you aligned yourself with purpose. The breakthrough, the confirmation, it has been within you all along. It was never about finding the right time or waiting for the perfect conditions. It was about becoming the right person for what's coming next. And now you stand with arms wide open, ready to receive all that was meant for you, knowing that your faith, your resilience, and your unwavering belief have paved the way. So, stand tall, take a deep breath, and step forward into the light that's been waiting for you. The world needs what you carry. Your story is just beginning, and this moment, April 26th, is where everything aligns. Embrace it, for you are ready. Your time has come.